Oh my gosh, the technical difficulties today. I'm so sorry about that. We are here live on Cinco de Mayo with our market update. And I apologize for some of the technical problems we're having, but hey, you know, it's Facebook, it's electronics. Sometimes I don't know why things happen the way they do. So we're in a little bit different screen format. Dustin Steele with North Point Mortgage is going to be jumping in with us here in just a few. And when he does, we're going to be in tight because I'm in this screen format. But this is about the only way I can get the feed to come through, not upside down or sideways. So this is the way it's going to be today for this market update. I hope you guys are having a great Thursday. We're going to go through what the market numbers have done for the month of April, talking about kind of where the market is, and then Dustin is going to give us our update on interest rates. That's kind of all the buzz, hot topic right now in the real estate world especially, is what's happening with interest rates. You know, just got another hike yesterday, which was a little painful for some. But remember, rates are still at fantastic low numbers compared to historic numbers. So I know it's higher than it's been, and we're going to talk to Dustin a little more about that. But don't fret. Like it's not doomsday. I do think it's going to change some things. I think interest rates, and we'll get Dustin's take on this in a few minutes, but I think it's going to change some of the competitiveness of offers that we see because it's going to change buying power. What we still have right now is low inventory, and interest rates going up does not change the fact that we still have low inventory. What it does change is a buyer's buying power. So what they could afford 60 days ago with the higher interest rate has now changed. Their budgets are changing. So that may impact some of our pricing. We've been seeing a lot of buyers that are making, you know, appraisal gap fee offers where they're willing to pay over appraised value. I think we might very well see that some of those buyers are going to be pulling back on those types of offers because they're going to have to use that money in different ways. For example, to buy a rate down. So there's going to be some things that we'll see shifting and changing, but I've been talking about this for probably a good 7 or 8 months that what we've had is not what we're always going to have, and now we are really starting to see some of that change. But it doesn't mean the market's crashing and the world is ending. So if that's what's in your mind, get it out, because that's not what is happening today. But let's first jump into where we are, how April closed out for 2022 compared to 2021 and 2020, just so you can see where some of the market growth and changes have been. And then we'll get Dustin on screen and talk real quick about interest rates. So let's start with Muskogee and Harris County. There were, for the month of April, 288 closed sales. In 2021, there were 306 closed sales, and in 2020, there were 234 closed sales. Days on the market for April 2022, 32 days on the market was our average. In 2021, it was 40 days, and in 2020, it was 71 days was our average time on the market. So we definitely have seen over the last couple of years significant decrease in time on the market. Average sold price, this is a fun number. I always like to track this one. So in April of this year, our average sold price was about $275,000. In 2021 April, our average sold price was $248,000. And in 2020, our average sold price in April was about $202,000. That is a significant increase in average sales over the last couple of years as well, which definitely a big part of that is buyers' competitiveness and the fact that so many things have sold over list price and on really strong terms over the last couple of years. List to sale price percentage, so what did it list for and what percentage of that did it actually sell for? 2022 April, it was homes sold for 99.66% of list price, so almost right at 100% of list. So what that means is you're not seeing big negotiations happening where buyers are coming in and getting a great deal, meaning significantly under list price for a home. In 2021, it was 99.58%, and in 2020, it was 98.22%. So we have steadily seen the list to sale price going up over the last couple of years. At some point, I think that'll level out and we won't see quite as high numbers. We may tick back a little bit to that 98 range, but right now we're still seeing very strong contracts coming in. Let's look at Russell and Lee County. What has April looked like for closed sales in Russell and Lee County? For 2022, 147 closed sales. In 2021, it was 157 closed sales. And in 2020, it was 105 closed sales. So we certainly have seen the number go up. It came back down a little bit, a few less closed sales, probably due in part to inventory this year, but certainly significantly higher numbers than 2020. Obviously, this time, April 2020, really March, April, kind of May, we were still in the lockdown mode. So while in 2020 we still had good sales, it was definitely a different market than what we've seen the last 2 years. Average days on the market for April 2022 is 22 days on the market. And this was a fun number. I always like it when they match up. In 2021, the average days on the market for April was 22 days. And pretty significant difference, 2020 average days on the market was 64. Looking at average sales price in Russell and Lee County for April, in 2022, it was $266,000. In 2021, just a year ago, it was $204,000. And in 2020, it was $183,000. So significant growth in overall market value over the last couple of years, which is not surprising based on what the market's been doing and the competitive nature of buyers. List to sale price percent for 2022 in April was 100.55%. So the majority, the average sold price was slightly higher than what the actual list price was. 2021, it was 100.34%, and in 2020, it was 99.51%. So we've had, over the last couple of years, really strong list to sale price ratios. I don't think we're going to see a huge change in that, but I do think we'll see some kind of shift as interest rates are rising, just because, again, like I said in the beginning, it's going to change buyers' buying power. It's going to change some of what their circumstances are, and that all passes through to the seller on some level within negotiations. So let's bring on Dustin. Come on in. We are going to talk some interest rate stuff. First and foremost, Dustin is with North Point Mortgage, and he is one of our local mortgage experts. So what we want to know today is, what are rates doing today?
So today, rates opened up stronger than they did yesterday. So they opened up strong. Depending on your credit profile, depending on the loan type, you can expect to see your rate to be anywhere between, I would say 5 and 6%. That's a pretty broad range, I know, but it depends on the credit profile, it depends on the product. But if you get quoted something in the 5s, it's a real rate. So they are in the 5s right now. Yeah.
Well, and so when you say depends on the product, what he's talking about is what kind of loan you're getting. So
right. So depending on if you're doing a conventional loan or an FHA loan or a VA loan, USDA loan, all of those products right now are falling in that 5% range. So you're going to be somewhere between 5 and 6% depending on your credit score, depending on loan amount. There's a lot of things that kind of impact that, but each one of those products is going to fall in that 5% range. And if you want to find out what we could quote you specifically, you could give me a call. We could look at that and figure out where you would fall in that range, depending on which loan type you decide to go with.
before we wrap up, I'll get Dustin to say his contact information, but we'll also drop it in the comments below so that you can reference that, because I know a lot of people have a lot of interest rate questions. It is an option to buy down a rate, right?
Correct.
Can you explain in kind of layman terms what it means to buy down a rate?
So whenever you're buying a home, you will get the lender that you're using will probably send you a cost estimate, or they will send you a loan estimate. They may call it a good faith estimate. But on there, you will see a section, depending on the lender, they may call it an origination charge, they may call it a discount point. But a discount point or an origination charge is a fee that is charged to lower your interest rate. And so a true 1% origination charge is 1% of your loan amount. So let's say that you were buying a $200,000 home and your loan, let's say your loan amount after your down payment was $200,000. If you were paying a true 1% origination, that would be a $2,000 charge that's added onto your closing costs that will lower your interest rate. Now, just because you're paying a full 1% does not mean that your rate is going to go from 5 to 4. That may only lower your rate. It may only lower your rate about 1/8 of a percentage. So you may only go from 5 to 4.875. So it's something that you kind of have to weigh when you're going through the process and look at the savings. How long is it going to take you to break even on that charge that you're paying to buy your rate down? So in some scenarios it makes a lot of sense. Others it doesn't, but it is something that we're seeing a little bit more of these days, with the rates being a little higher than they have been for the past 2 years.
And so a question you may or may not be able to answer, and I did not rehearse this with him, so I'm kind of putting him under the gun on this, is when you're looking at buying down a rate, is there a minimum kind of amount of time on average? And I know that nobody has a crystal ball, but is there sort of a minimum amount of time that somebody needs to anticipate staying in a home to have those numbers make sense? Or are there too many individual factors that go into that for that to be a straight answer?
Generally, how I handle that is we will look at, here's the rate today that doesn't have a buy down. Here's the rate where you're paying 1 point, or you may be paying 1/2 of a point, or whatever you're paying to buy that rate down. We'll compare those two principal and interest payments, and then depending on, let's say that you're buying the rate down for 1%, and that's going to save you $28 a month. What we're going to do is we're going to take the charge. So if that's $2,000, we're going to divide it by the savings, and then so that will give you the number of months that it's going to take for you to break even on that number. And so what we basically do in that sense is, do you think you're going to be in the home 64 months? Do you think you'll be there 5 years? And do you think this is a house you may be in 2 years? And if the answer is I may not be here in 48 months and it's going to take 6 years to break even, then that's a route that I generally try to push people away from.
Yeah. So when you think about buying down rates, there's a lot of information, and it was a loaded question for me because I knew a little bit, but not enough to speak on it on my own. But there's a little bit that you have to think about in terms of your commitment to time in that home.
Right.
And like he just said, if you're only going to be in that home a couple of years, yeah, you may look at it and say it's only going to cost me $2,000 to buy down my rate, and that sounds great because because you're going to get 4 point something instead of 5 point something.
Right.
But the math on that may not actually work out. So you need somebody like Dustin who's honest and is going to help you work through that, and who knows what he's talking about with those numbers. So last question, maybe not, might lead me to more questions. All right, so next question is, what do you, based on the experts that you follow, the information that you're seeing, what do you anticipate is going to happen with interest rates here over the next 60 to 90 days?
It's been a pretty mixed bag, I would say, for the last 45 days. The last 2 weeks, I would say we are starting to see a little bit of a plateau. The Fed did meet yesterday, and I'm sure a lot of you saw that they hiked the rate up 0.5%. That doesn't necessarily impact mortgage rates directly, but it does cause a little bit of uncertainty, and so uncertainty always causes rates to go up. People don't like surprises or feeling uncertain. So, but we did drop a little bit as far, they went up a little bit. Mortgage-backed securities went down. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but rates went up a little bit yesterday afternoon, and then by the end of Chairman Powell's speech, he's the chair for the Fed, after he got done, we actually rebounded and rates closed a little better yesterday than they opened, even after the 0.5 point rate hike. So I think there's a possibility that we could start to see a plateau. I think we're kind of getting there now. I think the next 60 to 90 days will be very important to kind of pay attention to what happens. The main catalyst here is inflation. So depending on what inflation does, as long as inflation is still an issue, then interest rates are going to continue to take it on the chin. If we can get that under control, I think you're going to start to see things kind of level out and maybe come down a little bit. But I don't think we're going to continue just to see the rocket ship that we've been on, honestly, since about December of last year. So.
And when it comes to inflation and interest rates, what you have to remember is the reason the Fed begins to raise rates is because interest rates have reached, inflation has reached such an inflated amount that's how they correct it. So unfortunately, historically, what we see is that they tend to overdo the rates in order to correct the market.
Right.
Historically, that's what's happened. So, I think it's prudent to keep in mind that we could see that the Fed can potentially continue to increase rates even above and beyond what's necessary. But then once that happens, hopefully we'll see a correction of that pretty quick as well. So interest rates and inflation, with the inflation that we've had, it should be no surprise to anybody who follows the market that interest rates are going up. Probably the bigger surprise is that we haven't seen increases before now.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
So, but that's fantastic. Any other details or information about rates right now that you think would be important for us to know?
Not really. I would pay close attention to it. If you're somebody that is in the market to buy right now, and let's say if you're under contract to buy, and you are sitting there floating that rate, I wouldn't float it. I don't think it's worth floating it. I think the opportunity to maybe get a marginal gain is just not worth it. I would definitely lock that rate in. If your lender, whoever your main lender is, lender one that you're shopping, if you shop them, they say they give you a rate this morning, it may not be the rate this afternoon by the time you call back. It's been that volatile from day to day, so I would definitely lock in and just move forward. I would not float it. I'm not recommending anyone to float right now.
That's all very good sound advice from a local mortgage expert. All right, Dustin, how do people contact you? I know a lot of you might have more questions if you're looking at buying, selling, kind of all the pieces, or just trying to figure out where mortgage rates are going. You may have some more detailed questions or questions based on your specific circumstance. So how can people reach you?
Yeah, anybody, you can always text me. You can always call me. My number is 706-405-6555. I know it doesn't sound real, but I will answer if you call it. And I will stick it down below in the comments. I'll also put my email down there. You can reach me on Facebook or Instagram, either one. I do have a business page on Facebook, so if you send me a message on there or my personal, either one, I'll
What's
always
your business
respond.
page?
It's just Dustin Steele at North Point Bank. So that's it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, fabulous information. I hope everybody has a great Cinco de Mayo. Have a margarita for me. I got a long day of work. I don't know if I'll get one today or not, but if you're out of day. Yes, I know. And I do love my margaritas. Don't forget to hit up some of our local restaurants today for Cinco de Mayo. I know a lot of them will have some fun stuff going on. And enjoy the day. Have a great weekend. We will be back here to do our May market update at the 1st of June. But as always, if there's anything you need before then, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach me on Facebook, on Instagram. My email address is kim@kimnixon.com. Phone number is 706-332-6349. You can drop comments below. My team and I really work hard to keep up answering anything that needs to be answered through social media. So we hope to see you soon and have a great day.